My name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for U.S. Senate last spring 2016 to stop the ticking time bomb so I could put our economy on track for a bright new day instead of all things ending. Well, I lost the election and not running, but the ticking time bombs are still here, if not more so. Let me educate you on the ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story. Part 16K4, the U.S. Senate and the Vice President, or if you don't trust, check and verify. Let's introduce one more point of law from our original Constitution. The Senate shall choose their officers and also a president pro tempore in the absence of the vice president or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. Point of Law 1. The Senate shall choose their other officers. This is pretty well straightforward. The majority leader chooses who is going to head the committees, and the majority and minority leaders choose who is going to be in each committee. Point of Law 2. And also a president pro tempore in the absence of the vice president. When the vice president is not in the Senate, a temporary Senate president will run the U.S. Senate floor. Again, the majority leader chooses the Senate president to run the Senate floor. This is usually not the majority leader, but a trusted senior member, because he must be there all the time while the Senate is open. For this reason, vice presidents also don't sit in the Senate either. One modern exception is Dick Cheney, who exercised his right to run the Senate floor during the George W. Bush administration. While our founding fathers envisioned the U.S. Senate and the Vice President working hand in hand, political realities have often meant that the President was not, the Vice President was person non grata, not welcomed in the Senate, let alone being able to run the floor. That is why it is unusual to see the Vice President in the U.S. Senate President's place. No majority leader is going to let an opposing party run the Senate floor. Point of Law 3. When he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. This occurred when JFK was assassinated and LBJ was sworn in as president, or when Richard Nixon was impeached and Gerald Ford was sworn in as president. Point of Law 3 becomes important then. May soon become important now. Now, why I ran for U.S. Senate last spring 2016. I was asked by a reporter who wanted just a few lines to say why I was running for U.S. Senate. I sent him this. No guts, no glory, no future. Do you take point, take on, take out, or do you take a back seat? I choose to take point, take on, and take out. Kind of freaked the guy out. I count myself as extremely blessed. I have had the chance to listen to so many extraordinary and wise folks in my life. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I had a chance to listen and learn from generals and admirals and specialists of all types. I have learned to value their experience and their wisdom. That is why my natural inclination is to listen to and protect the company man, or to protect the government man. This time of my life, I learned to value their expertise and wisdom. By my nature, I am not wise, but I have been fortunate to listen to the wise. Many got this experience by hard lessons learned. In Vietnam, there was dense jungles. You had to move through them in single file lines. The CO, commanding officer, had two choices on where to be. Take point or take a back seat. The person at point was most likely to be killed or captured. The folks in the middle are going to be machine gun fodder. the guy in the back is most likely to escape. Being a CEO, you can pick your position. Do you take point or do you take a back seat? You can't see the bad guys from the rear. Only if you take point can you truly look out after your men. Understand, jungles? The CEOs who cared about their men took point. The CEOs who didn't took care of themselves and took a back seat. This is where I learned the idea of killers and murderers. And by the way, Donald, the guy who told me this was a POW. He was wounded, but instead of being taken care of, he was tortured. They pulled his teeth out one by one until there was none. He didn't break either. Is this soldier a winner or a loser? I don't respect that. Those who get captured, Donald. In fall of 2015, I saw that we had two paths before our country, one leading to a bright new day, and the other to all things ending. We're in a bifurcation. I had a kick in my butt moment at the beginning of December 2015. I decided to run for an office. Where to take point? Take on the greed and the graft and the problems facing our country and our people. Take out the corruption and the corrupt. I saw as my grandfather with Bill Proxmire that was in the Senate. So I made my last minute run for. I having never run for anything and not knowing how. No guts, no glory, no future. Do I take point, take on, take out, or do I take a back seat? Ready or not, January 26th, I chose to take point. And that is why I am continuing my post. To take point, to take on, and to take out. Yesterday, Ryan made some changes to the AHCA bill, adding in $150 billion for folks, I believe 50 to 64, to help them. I haven't had time to read the new bill. This could be a good first step for a better bill for you folks. But as far as I know, there is still no mention of continuing the Bob Dole protections. To add those protections only requires a one-line grandfather clause. All, not some, of the patient and consumer protections and rules of the ACA will be transferred to the AHCA. Not a hard thing to do. Until the Bob Dole protections are in the AHCA by grandfather clause, the AHCA will not protect anyone and will be much higher premiums going forward. Since refunds are stated amounts, not based on income, inflation will constantly lower the value until they are useless. The ACA income-based system is still much better for the hardworking folks. Also, the evolutionary period going from the ACA to the AHCA needs to be at least 2 years and a clear path forward so that farmers and small businesses who will be affected the most by this change will have time to prepare for any price changes. You don't want to get slammed all at once. My biggest concern is that the vote has been moved up to this Thursday. Even with its relatively small page count, there is a lot to reread, and I don't know about you, but I'm a working man, and I need more time to reread the new and improved AHCA. The ACA took me a month to read. This is far short a period for us hardworking folks to reread and understand what is in the AHCA. Considering how one-sided the last version was, I don't trust Paul Ryan or Trump. If you don't trust, verify. So, I recommend that you call up your good congressman and tell them to vote no on Thursday, or postpone the vote until at least next Tuesday, so us hardworking folks have the time to reread and understand the 2.0 bill. Again, call, email your congressmen, tell them to vote no until these points that I've stated are in the AHCA. You have a good and blessed day. Bye.